Excellent. Thanks everyone for our webinar. So as you all received the invites, this webinar is for Business One partners. So really everyone here is a Business One partner. We made that specially in as well preparation because Klaus and myself will be in Barcelona. We are supposed to be as well in Singapore, but Singapore, the timeline has slightly changed. So as well, if you have questions, feel free to ask the Q&A later on. We can as well open up for anyone to ask questions directly if we can unmute you. However, for the time being, of course, we have muted you because we had quite a lot of registrations, which is very nice to see. Thank you very much for that as well to, of course, you, the partners, and to, of course, as well, our marketing team who has done a fantastic job to actually publicize and get everyone to attend. We have 3 speakers, 3 founders as well today here on the call. We have Klaus. Klaus, maybe you say hi. Yes.
Hi, that's me. I'm sitting here in Leonberg, close to Stuttgart, the power of engineering and technology, as you know, Bosch and Mercedes and Porsche and so on.
Perfect. Then we have Philip.
Yeah,
the
hello.
one with the headset.
Exactly. Want to make sure that my audio quality is good enough for this call. So yeah, nice to meet you, everybody. I'm sitting in Asia. I'm sitting actually in Bangkok, but we are doing operations worldwide. So yeah, quite flexible in that sense. But I'm originally also from Germany.
All right, perfect. And then, of course, we have myself, Matthias here, or Matt, how I have been going by the name for the last 9 years, almost 10 years since I'm in Asia. So basically, we will do a bit of introduction as well later on, who we are, etc., etc. Just before, a couple of words. So Philip has a massive experience with Salesforce. So he is basically CEO of a Salesforce partner for over 15 years with experience. So he knows the CRM space, FSM space very, very well. Then we have Klaus, who comes from the industry itself. And basically, he was an element in our group that always made sure that we understand the customers. So our solution is very much focused on the customer and not developed by Philip, myself, Klaus, and our developers somewhere in the back corner of the world. However, it was always very important to us to actually live and develop our solution directly with the customer itself. And me, myself, I have an experience of SAP. So my background goes SAP, used to be SAP business consultant in Germany, and then basically ran the entire SAP CX partner team in Asia. So as well, I have a very deep expertise in Business One. So I was working back then very closely together with the Business One team, as well as obviously when SAP acquired the FSM solution as well, I was part and had to basically the pleasure to sell it. So I know as well where it came from, where it is today. And of course, we're working as well with quite a few partners in order to as well support them. So therefore, we as well know a lot about the challenges, the good, the bad, and everything around it. So just to give you a little bit of insights. And of course, if you want to have more insights, more discussion points, etc., we as well welcome you to schedule a time directly with us, because in a large audience is always better to keep it diplomatic, to put it in that way. And for the ones that know us, you know that we are not very diplomatic. For us, most important is always one of our mottos: on budget, on time, on smile. So basically that we as well have fun with working. It's the reason why we as well came up with Fento, our field service application, because we said Salesforce, SAP, other solutions are simply too big for the SMB market. And we wanted to build something specially designed for that customer segment, and then as well together with the B1. Enough of that. A quick look at the agenda. Why SAP partners need FSM and CRM solutions. We will touch it on a high level. Again, as said, happy to share a bit more. Some of our key features we're going in, the Fento introduction, then as well the integration, SAP Business One and Fento FSM. Very interesting for a lot of the B1 partners here. We will talk a little bit about it, what we have and what you could as well do in addition. Of course, a live demo should not be missing. And then basically we will talk about our Genie AI. That part I will hand over perhaps to Philip as well, because he is our AI specialist. He has been certified in AI and all those kind of things. So he can talk very, very well about it. And we as well have some really cool use cases for AI. And of course, the burning questions that I always receive from partners: what's a partner program like? What's the pricing like? And then, of course, any kind of next steps, Q&A. Klaus, Philip, feel free to always jump in. Everyone else, feel free to raise questions in the Q&A or in the chat section so that you as well get your answers directly in there. Philip and Klaus have an eye on the Q&A section, the notes, the chat functionality as well. So if anything comes up, you have any specific questions, please type away so that they can interrupt me. All right. So basically, what we understand from the market, that B1 partners at the moment struggle to find an FSM and CRM solution that fits their clients' needs. So your clients' needs, meaning might it be from a functionality, might it be from an implementation perspective, might it be from a pricing perspective. As we all know that pricing is very important for our customer segment. That has been as well one of the major things for us, and we will talk about that as well to the end. However, one thing already beforehand, and that is something that Philip had been pushing for within our company. So the credits really for that go to Philip itself. He basically wanted to make sure that we have an office user license as well as we have a mobile user license. As you heard that Philip, myself, we're sitting in Asia, so we know exactly what kind of struggles companies here especially face. However, we learned as well in Germany or Europe, it's nothing different really. Meaning a mobile license just enables them as well to scale more of the employees onto the solution, have the greater benefits. Third-party integrations. One of our big points is, of course, our knowledge about SAP. By the way, I forgot to mention earlier when I introduced Philip, he used to be an SAP partner as well for the CX portfolio. So he knows as well from that side how it works. And of course, through his sales force as well, he has worked a lot with B1 partners on integrations and all those kind of things. So we as well want to make sure that we offer basically two options for integrations and how it all can work together. So two integration points we will come as well later to, but however, always like to take things a little bit far ahead. And one integration is, of course, we have completely open APIs. So if you want to build integrations, if you want to do all that work, no problem. We basically have open APIs. You can connect to us and job is done. Or basically we have as well a pre-built integration where we say that is ready for 80% and where we as well will share a couple of slides in, I think, 2 small slides, and then the integration will become a bit more clear as well, what we typically have and what we offer. I'm not used to that Klaus and Philip speak so little, so I'm a bit shocked about that, but don't worry. Later on, they will definitely speak more. It should not be a monologue of myself. It's normally as well with Klaus and Philip very involved and bring it over.
Which
That's a very good keyword.
Point.
That's a very good keyword for me, because the flexibility is my point, and that the technicians should use the application in hand with their, let's say, big thumbs and big fingers on a little iPad or on a little smartphone, that they can do that and they click as less as possible. So that comes from my input. And this has been done then afterwards from our technicians to recognize that with wizards and other systems.
Yep. And of course, as well as the flexibility. Why? Because we followed an approach of a platform approach. So those partners, I can't see the attendee list right now, but some of you might already be partnering with us. And that as well shows that we build quite a lot of things for the customers. and always want to make it, of course, part of the product wherever it's applicable. But as well, we can basically do things on the side, on our platform, because not every customer follows the same process, especially when we talk about different industry standards, things like that. And of course, reliable end-to-end solution. So basically that they can, from a mobile technician, really do what they need to do. So one very good example is from where we came to where we are today on our extended functionality. Why? Because that's already as well my next slide. And we're trying to get through the slides, as you all know, as fast as possible typically, because we want to show you really the system, because that's where the key points are. However, of course, we came from FSM. So we started off as a FSM solution for small, medium companies. With scheduling, nowadays we have some AI-powered dynamic planning in there. Then as well, we had customers, and that's exactly one of the use cases that I was referring to just now, with pickup and delivery. So the complete service logistics. So for example, we have companies in the construction, we have companies that simply need to bring materials there, like machines, vending machines, other type of equipment, or just replace it. Why? Because not every equipment as well is being fixed on the road. Some equipment might need to be picked up at the customer side and then basically brought to your workshop in order to basically be fixed on that part. So for example, if we talk about machinery that is basically within the agriculture, some of that you might fix in the field, some you might want to schedule a truck that basically picks up 1, 2, 3 machines and then brings it back to your workshop in order to put that all together. Technician pooling and automatically assignment. We will talk about that as well in the demo a little bit. It's basically as well meaning we can assign more than one technician. One of the key things that basically as well was from initially good get-go, very much a requirement for our solution. Why? Because a lot of our customers have 1, 2, 3 technicians that basically work together on a job, and they need to basically all log their times against it. Offline, of course, without picking on anyone, but as we're all Germans, or the 3 founders are Germans, we especially know how hard the internet can be in Germany. For Philip and myself here in Asia, so Thailand and Singapore, it's a bit easier most of the times. However, in Germany, quite a lot of gaps, just as an example. So there as well, offline is super critical and essential.
Yeah, especially because we have also a lot of customers that working on hospitals, underground mining facilities. So obviously there's no internet connectivity allowed or possible there. So offline capability is quite a crucial factor on our application.
Yep. And then basically time tracking and qualification management. We will talk about this part quite extensively in the demo as well. However, one part that then was added to our solution was the complete CRM aspect. So just as an example, QR code scanning is something that we can not show today. Why? Because we don't have the machinery, the QR codes here on site. But basically it means that if a customer puts a QR code on the machine, if the customer, competitor, etc., scans it, basically brings up our form, our portal to say, please register what kind of service inquiry you have. It can directly go to Fento. Or, for example, if the technician scans it, then directly the right work is basically the task is being pulled up so that they directly know I'm at the right asset, I'm at the right machine, and can directly verify I'm actually doing the right thing here. We as well had the complete quoting. Why? Because sometimes in the field, material is being used and a quote needs to be sent. So that can as well be done directly from the app. And of course, link back into Business One. So everything financially, very important for me always to mention, financially, material logistics, all those kind of things, we don't do. So we are not a logistics solution. We can't really do financials. We don't deal really with prices. So now I got quickly distracted. There was a question, I think, Philip. Yeah, we have the service contracts. So as well, either you can maintain service contracts on SAP Business One. or we can integrate them, or as well, you could basically create them from our side. Why? Because obviously as well, if there's a service contract for regular maintenance, preventive maintenance, then it's all coming from there. Equipment, machinery management, we will show as well a little bit. Klaus, your favorite point? Not yet, SAP integration, okay. My favorite point, we have, as I mentioned already, the SAP integration, because we started off as a standalone solution, but of course, FSM is great standalone, but would be as well great to have it integrated, and then we integrate basically here with SAP Business One. For those of you who might be doing S/4HANA already, we are looking into it. We don't have a standard framework yet. It's not as straightforward for us, I would say, as Business One, but ultimately we as well will have something in place in order to connect to to S/4HANA from our side. And now we actually get to Klaus's favorite point, the portal, product configurator, and things like that. Klaus, do you want to give a few words for that?
Yeah, we have been asked to get a web configurator done for product configuration, because this is part of an ERP part in many places, especially in the construction, to make available for clients by the web directly to configure a product, shoot it into the ERP, gets the offer or place the order. And we have done several of these configurators for the construction industry so far. So that's something which is a very, very upcoming point, and it goes online with our system of Ventu ERP and CRM connections, I would say.
Yeah, and as well, I think that might answer the question from one of the attendees. Because we have a product configurator that, of course, integrates with our CRM itself. So we as well have clients where nowadays there is doing CRM only. Might it be for services, might it be just for sales, because it's basically a CRM functionality is given with opportunity tracking. So we call it sales projects, as well as customer cases, basically our leads functionality and the quoting functionality as well. However, quoting, as I mentioned already, we rely heavily on Business One for any kind of things related to pricing. All right, Philip, I can see on my screen next to me that you're answering already quite a lot of questions, which is great. Keep it coming.
Yep.
Philip, if you want to answer any questions which you want to highlight here, just interrupt me, please, so that.
Sure. I think maybe at the end, let's do, because we already 20 minutes in the presentation, let's keep going. And
No
maybe
worries.
at the end of the session, maybe recap a couple questions.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, perfect. So here's just a little process example. If you consider ERP, if you know the slides, very similar. It's basically your Business One. We just put it a bit more generic, as we can not only do Business One, but of course, ERP in general. We integrate both ways into a service call. That is, for example, what we do in our standard scenario. We can do from QR service forms, service contracts. We can create basically on our side service cases and then create them as well into the service call on your side. We have our work orders and tasks as well directly to manage the dispatching. And then basically here on the right side, we see the mobile app, which is offline, online, offline, approvals. And then that basically goes back into the service call with, for example, if any material was used, efforts and activities, expenses, etc., etc. And of course, here on the left side, we have a little bit of points that is about master data. So if we integrate, of course, to Business One, typically business partners coming from Business One, the context typically coming from Business One, as we don't necessarily write back contacts from the CRM unless they're actually relevant for the ERP function itself. Klaus, Philip, anything to add to this part? Otherwise,
Nope.
I think it's quite straightforward, which as well will highlight a little bit what we will do in the demo. We will basically have a look at Business One service call, and then we will start with a complete FENTO process to run through that.
Maybe just a quick mention, because I mean, I come from a partner side, yeah. So I understand that they're gonna. So this is, of course, a default integration, default process. There might be some cases where there has been some customizations on each of the systems. Obviously, we can address that. So don't worry about that. Usually, we're gonna do an as-is analysis, take a look on what you have customized, and then gonna modify the process accordingly. So we are quite flexible in that aspect. So, but obviously we'll want to provide you with a standard setup first to show you, hey, look, this is how it could look like. But don't worry, if your system that you customize is not matched exactly to this, no problem. We can, of course, provide you also with an idea on how it could look like for your system. Okay.
Yeah, maybe Philip, you give as well a little statement to where we are hosted, because that was another question.
Okay, sorry, I just was busy answering the other question. So yeah, so right now our system is a on-cloud solution, and the data is hosted I mean, depending on where you are and region. So if you're in Germany, obviously it's gonna be European. It's normally stored in Frankfurt. If it's in Asia, it's stored in Singapore. So different hosting areas depending on it. Also because we need to comply to GDPR and all the other information. So this is usually stored accordingly.
With US being added quite soon, because they're currently negotiating a couple of things. But basically, as you would as well see from the timing from our audience today, right now we started off in Asia and basically expanding to Europe, because Philip, myself, we coming from Asia, so we started off here. We had a couple of key customers, of course, in Germany. And now first for us is that we're expanding into Europe. And then after that, the plan is for US. And of course, if you have any kind of US clients, we could cater to it. But very frankly speaking, at the moment, we prefer to focus on certain things. The integration itself, out of the box integration, as mentioned already. So we have something that is ready to go as long as the Business One service call functionality is standard, I would say. We had as well requests where certain things need to be adapted, which, because we have already built quite a few things, so it's not something that is massive amount of work, let me put it that way. We basically can have the 80-20 rule, so 80% is done, 20% need to be adapted. And basically, that's a little bit how it could look like. So just a very standard presentation. We have FENTO FSM, web services. We call it FENTO Connect. Basically, that's our middleware or integration server, where we do all the data mapping, transformation, loading, etc. If you need a VPN, of course, from Business One, either we can put that from our server, or if users have already on Business One, that's great. And then we normally go over the SAP service layer itself.
Yeah, so typically we're talking about here a cron shop, which we obviously need to have some kind of a middleware in order to access via VPN wherever SAP is hosted. We would probably need to work with you in order to establish the connection. And then we will have FENTO Connect also has a front end, which allows some non-developers also to do certain kind of data mapping as well, if it needs to be adjusted.
Yeah. And basically we have as well in our solution, it's small to see here on the right, but basically we have as well an integration dashboard, so that basically as well we could see if any kind of errors coming through, things like that, as that has been highlighted to us as well by partners, that for certain cases the integration is not fantastic, let me put it that way. And so basically it would be great to have that on a dashboard, if there are any kind of errors, if there are kind of any problems, how many integrations were there, that kind of things, in order to basically keep an eye on it. Which can as well directly send emails to the admin in order to, for example, you as a partner to say, hey, there was an integration error. that's perhaps something that you want to proactively take a look at. So important for us, integration, of course, as well. As mentioned, this is our out-of-the-box integration. If you want to build your own integration, which as well we have partners, it's a great way as well. So basically, we have open APIs, as already mentioned. So that part would basically then fall away from our side, and you could replace it with whatever you have. Great. Now I already had a lot of slides. Yeah.
Maybe a quick, there was a question regarding VPN, because we mentioned that here, right?
Yeah.
So it was in German, so I'm going to recap quickly in English. So there was a question, do we need to have a VPN in order to connect? The answer is no. So it just happens to be that most of SAP hosting is behind on VPN. So therefore, we quite often see when we do some deployments or development with our customers that the SAP Business One application is protected by a VPN. And therefore, we need to have a VPN tunnel in order to connect to SAP. So otherwise, the integration wouldn't work. So it depends on actually how is SAP Business One hosted. If there's no VPN, then we don't need to have a VPN in order to connect. Okay. Good, Matthias.
All right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Then we go into the demo. So basically, I will just quickly explain the demo. As we're talking as well about integration Business One. Within the invite, we already sent a video showing a little bit of Business One integration. Please note that we are not Business One specialists like you are. So when I demo Business One, please have patience with me. It's not a system that I use on a daily basis or am as familiar as you are. But basically, we will show you as well how to create a service case, and then that one will directly sync to Fento. We will basically manage our work order, scheduling, dispatching directly in Fento, handling CRM field service tasks directly, and then generating the insights and reports, and basically how that all goes back into Business One. All right, just clicking through here. Our Business One is hosted on Google Cloud as well. So basically, we use the cloud version as a SAP SSP partner. So maybe we should mention that. So as well, we are registered SSP partner with SAP. So in the open ecosystem, in order to have access to a lot of the documents and a lot of the things, so we're better aligned to make it just simpler.
And maybe to add
so
something
basically,
here, this integration here that we built, that you're going to see later on, we built actually for this particular meeting, for this webinar today. So just to give you some idea in terms of the flexibility and effort that we put in certain things. So just for this meeting today, we just created a new Business One environment plus a new integration.
Correct.
Yeah.
So basically, again, we're not Business One partner, so we had a couple of pitfalls. Our old system, the license expired. As you know, that the trial license only goes for 31 days. So we had to set it up newly. So Philip and the team helped to build a new one in the last couple of days, weeks, in order to show play a little bit. So we see, basically just want to highlight, okay, we have a couple of service calls. We created a few so that you will see as well as them later in the system. Of course, that is very standard. So I will just go ahead and create a new one. As you can see, I always like to use microchips. It's something that for me is very easy to remember. And for example, I'm just going to keep it very simple on the Business One side. Battery replacement or repair needed. Copy this. Here, of course, you could now enter the different kind of product types, business partner, etc., as you all know that. We could put in the remarks. We can, of course, create them as well an activity. So I'm just going to create as well an activity, so it's directly assigned. We leave it here for us on B1I first, so because we want to show you as well how the scheduler works. By the way, we could as well automatically create activities on our side. That's not a problem. We could now enter the solution, etc. However, as we mentioned, we want to show you more Fentu than Business One because we assume that you all know Business One much better than we do. From a Business One perspective, just as an example why I'm in here. So basically, I just saw that we have already one open. So we could as well open any of the ones that is work completed. Basically, for us, we typically change the status to work completed once basically the technician has done their job. In the remarks itself would basically come the URL of that service case then, or the work order in our case, so that basically we can link it. Of course, here you could put in all kinds of different information that basically can be put in. We like to put in the demo a little bit more simple. And then here under the activities would come in the different kind of people that would come out of that. So basically, if you have two people scheduled on the same service call or the same activity, even if it's the same activity, we would create basically two different activities in our side, as it's hard to map it on Business One side. All right, then Fentu. So basically, I created it. Now the cron job should be running for the ones that I just had created itself. So basically, that will just take a couple of minutes. While that is loading, I will just explain a little bit to Fentu itself. So Fentu is a complete mobile, it's a online application that you can run within the browser. Meaning, for example, I'm running Safari right now. Philip would always tell me not to use Safari because it's actually not certified for Safari. It's not a browser that he supports because most of our developers are obviously not on MacBook. Here we can basically put in the different kind of dashboards. For example, we see here that Fred is one of our heaviest person because we basically do a lot of things right now with the B1. We have here as well different kind of languages. So at the moment, languages enabled English, German, and Thai. Of course, other languages can as well be added itself. By the way, we already had requests to change it into SAP English, so that basically a work order would be called a service call, just as an example. It's something that we're currently looking at in order to reflect that as well. We have here on the left-hand side, which can basically as well customize based on profiles. So here we have, for example, as well posting functionality, which can go against a project. So if you have projects that as well, for example, can directly be interlinked with. We have different kind of work order wizards, meaning as well, it's one of the things that we decided on to make it as simple as possible. And we have actually seen from a FSM perspective that more and more clients like to as well create the service call or the service ticket directly from our side. Why? Because the office user can be simply guided through the complete map, meaning from a repair, we can select then the customer through it, and so on and so forth. So basically here as well, we could select the customers from SAP system. You can see a couple of contacts in there, etc., etc. So basically, you can click yourself through. You can give the GPS coordinates from our side as well. So it's not just a location, but as well very detailed. We support branch functionality. We'll as well see that in the dispatcher. Meaning here we have, for example, SAP B1 branch, which is then integrated with the B1 system that we just saw, or the test branch. We as well have, of course, a planned and scheduled timing. One functionality, as an example, fixed appointments, meaning the technician cannot just show up 2 hours before or 2 hours later. Or if he's available, he cannot just say, oh, the meeting would have been tomorrow. he needs to basically follow this part here. Description, any kind of access pass needed, etc., etc. Here we can basically as well assign the assets directly to such a work ticket. For example, he now it directly pulls assets. As well, one thing that the team has done, you see here that it's an asset involved that is not associated to the same customer. It's because sometimes you have as well, it's a function you can enable. It's one customer might start with you and they have one asset, but then another customer takes over that asset and you might just want to link it as well to the new customer, things like that. So we had it, for example, just now for alarm systems where they wanted to have as well to different kind of customers as well as that hierarchy. So we can as well have multi-relations to a certain asset. We can assign parts if not given from Business One. We can assign checklists manually, or we can basically give it based on the product, the asset category. And then here as well, we could already assign a technician, or we can do that later as well as vehicles, tools, etc. So you can see that it's very intuitive, was one of the important things for us as well. So that basically all the things are intuitive for office users as well as for mobile users, for technicians. So that not much training is really needed on the solution and that you can basically directly bring it as well across. Okay, so I guess it's already synchronized here as well. So once I click done, the work orders will come and here we would see work orders that have already been synced to the ERP system, basically have an ERP ID, so that's a service call ID itself. And the ones that are not within the branch, for example, of course, they wouldn't be linked to it in order to have not that problem, no replication problem. If we go in, then as well, we see basically information, at least I hope so, that we just entered as well. Here, just one extra step we would simply need to do because now this is being pulled by the system. So we can basically pull as well the right contacts. We can pull in all the kind of information, repair, etc., which as well we could do over the wizard. The location again, the map location we could start so that it's all directly mapped correctly. And with that mapping already, we would as well see that tasks are assigned. So each work order has multiple tasks. Either can be that a task is simply different kind of things that you need to do, or it's basically different machineries that you need to do. So as well, multiple assets can be assigned to the same work order. So we have a lot of flexibility in that sense in order to basically show that and the details, which as well becomes very clear if we would go to the customer itself. So if we go to the microchips customer, we would see all the information associated to them, the buildings, so basically that's objects, the work orders that basically are there, the assets that they have. We can as well interlink assets on a hierarchy level, meaning as well one might be under the other, the service contracts, or as well here, for example, the entire company tree in order to basically really manage the assets, all the kind of things that are basically involved, including the preferred resources. So for example, if microchips would have a preferred resource, we could as well assign a specific technician that basically comes in and does, for example, they would then get a specific access pass or things like that that can be directly handled here as well. So for example, repair. This kind of things, of course, as well, I mentioned earlier, the AI scheduler. We have the AI scheduler that can follow the logics. And of course, that is one of the conditions that can be as well included in the logic itself. Philip, Klaus, anything I'm missing on that front? Otherwise, I would go into the mobile app itself.
Maybe just a quick thing here. So because right now you're focusing, you're presenting the office, right? And you're about to present the mobile. One thing that I wanted to highlight a little bit on our solution is that because as Matthias mentioned, I have experience with actually I wasn't only SAP partner, and I'm not only Salesforce partner, but also used to be Microsoft partner. So I have FSM experience in all of the big guys, and the main focus always was actually at the office part, right? The dispatching and so on, which we have, and Matthias shows that right now. But for us, actually, we also really care about the technician themselves. So the mobile app is actually streamlined for the process of these people. And I mean, Matthias is going to show you in a second about how the mobile app looks like. But so all the things like checklists and so on, we quite focus on making sure that the technicians also have some nice functionality as well. Okay, Matthias.
All right. So basically, we have two options here as well. So, or a couple of options before I go into the mobile app. So we have the dispatcher based on the people. We can locate based on the branch itself. And if we have multiple more people, then this basically becomes smaller and smaller and at some point scrollable. We can basically assign directly to people via drag and drop as an example. And here then I could as well assign the product, the parts, assets, checklists, etc. again, in order to just bring it over. Or as well, I could leave it open and basically let the technicians pick by themselves. So for example, maintenance could be then picked by the technicians themselves in order to just do it whenever they can, right? So they might finish a job early. They have a map functionality as well, which we show in order to basically directly get on there and do the different things. So here we can basically as well assign an asset directly from the scheduler. Just going to load the different kind of assets. It's going to use this one as it's the right customer. We can assign parts, or as well as we mentioned already a few times, different kind of multiple technicians, which then as well would be linked. As well as the checklists. So now select the English ones for today so that directly comes in. And you can directly see now this is scheduled for both people. And if I would change any kind of that things, then automatically, of course, a second person would as well be adapted. We have as well customers that don't schedule based on people, but based on projects. So here as well, we could then have the tasks basically on a project level so that you can actually schedule it accordingly. You would still see, for example, this one is then scheduled with technicians. You can assign multiple technicians, etc., etc. So different views for different kind of perspectives. Projects is basically our CRM functionality. I'm just going to show it very quickly because it's not necessarily set up right now in the demo system. So very straightforward CRM system, which basically can have here multiple tabs with different kind of hierarchies. We have the quoting functionality and of course, as well as activities with, for example, a Kanban view, which you could then drag and drop. So really for us, usability is one of the key points for Office users as well as mobile users. With that, and looking at the timing, I'm going to open the app. So for those of you who know, BlueStacks is basically, I'm running the complete Android app directly here on my tablet, on my computer, so that I don't need to show you everything on a mobile phone or iPad. We support basically Android and Apple, and you can basically use it on tablet as well as phones. However, the feedback from customers very clearly, tablets are the preferred choice. I'm just going to refresh the screen to make sure that everything is as well coming in. You would see a calendar. So for example, what has been overdue in certain days, etc., what needs to be still done and accepted. So you can see it's a demo system, what is basically due today and what would be for the plan itself.
And
we see here that, for example,
yeah, and I think, I mean, because you mentioned before, just to connect the dots, the map pool, because you mentioned before that the technician can pull their own maps, their own tickets. So that's basically where they can pull it out themselves here, where they do some cherry picking, just as a quick note on here.
Yeah. So here, basically, they could see all the open unassigned ones. So here, no one is assigned to the jobs or tasks yet. And as well, they could basically here as well filter according to all, etc. So as well, they can basically have that cherry picking itself. Offline assets, etc. I'm just gonna go now into this one. We would see here basically the work order number. We see the history itself. So you can see that, of course, we prepared a little bit today. So that's why a bit of data has been created as well again the last few days. I could accept it or reject it. So for example, if I know that I can't do this job at the moment, then I could reject it. If there's any kind of repair exemption limits, things like that, we can directly pull it in. If there were any other things, then basically we say they need to basically verify that it's a right machine. And after that, they can directly start here the work itself. So they would perform the work. And if they have a checklist, as an example, initially a checklist, and quite often it's you need to click in, then you need to select it, etc. And one of the enhancements that we as well did was the wizard. And that has been coming from Philip itself. For those people who play a lot on the phone, they might as well recognize the designs. So we used the design from very big apps, let me put it that way, in order to as well make it very easy. And basically, if a technician goes through, all they need to do is I simply click on it and it immediately goes to the next slide. And I can basically go through and do the activities very straightforward, very fast. If I would say no, then it's something that I can later on see in the report. And then I would have done all my checklists. Basically, here we would see that there has been a defect. We see as well that 2 checklists are assigned to this one. And if the technician would say, I need a different checklist, he as well has a flexibility to basically say, I want to basically change the checklist or add another checklist that I need to basically do. For example, a waiver document, things like that can be directly added here. If they use any exchange parts, we can as well pull that in. So basically here, we can pull the part in. You can see that it's not loading. I think I saw a question earlier, what's the parts as well for synchronization. That's one of the reasons it's not loading yet. So that we can basically pull in the parts.
Matthias, we have about 10 minutes left.
Okay.
Yep.
Then I close this part. I say here's a working time, material consumption we could add so that it's directly coming all into the Business One bag. We complete the complete work order or the asset itself, which directly prompts then the task. So I can basically sign that from a customer perspective. Once they lift their finger, they can get a rating. And as well, here's a technician signature so that it's all directly documented.
So we're going through that quite quickly right now in order to make sure that we have enough time. But what I would recommend everybody here is if you would like to know more details and so on, we can, of course, have a follow-up meeting where we go into the deep dive a bit and explain a little bit more the process. So just to let you guys know, I highly recommend maybe book a meeting with Klaus and Matthias after this in order to make sure that you get all the information needed. Okay, Matthias?
Yep. Okay. That's basically then that part would be then completed. So it's gone in my open task as well. And if we go back to the work order, so we have here as well, for example, different tabs in order to directly filter it. So the customer doesn't need to work with filters and screens. And here they could directly then see as well the work list, the work report, the checklist, and all this kind of information. It's opening a new tab for me. Okay. Philip, the typical demo scenario has gotten us. Yeah, here's one. Philip's going to tell me that basically the system is generating the work book in the backend, because we have as well customers with thousands of machines and assets that basically are in there. So basically it just takes some time to sometimes create it, because basically all the checklists, etc., needs then to be created, cross-checked, and consolidated. So it's not that we create it on click. It's basically created in the backend, and then only after it's ready, we can basically download it. All right. Philip, I think from a demo perspective, I'm through. Not sure if you wanted to show as well the other mobile screen. So we have as well a screen for mobile recordings, a time recording, but I think we should skip that and to go to the pricing.
I think we skip that. So I think if somebody, just to quickly note, we do have time tracking as well, where you can have like log your time of the technician. We have a specific feature for it. Actually prepared to present it today, but the time is running away. So in case you would like to see something like this, like I mentioned before, let's do a follow-up call and book with us. And then, but for now, I think it's more important in terms of pricing, and so that we can cover that.
Yeah, I think we should go to the partner model and pricing, which is a very important point. And then we can do some questions, and everything else we have to skip probably, because otherwise we are going out of time.
It's just a pity we can't show everything. So Genie AI, basically it's something that we're working currently with the customers on. Once a customer is already using Fandu, we can as well apply some AI things. So things like AI scheduler, so with a chat functionality, but we're happy to talk you through as well as a separate meeting. AI is